You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari. Excited to be here with you today. We are going to be talking about loving yourself today. Now, we have so many different topics on this show each week, and sometimes they're heavy. Sometimes they're about schizophrenia and depression and, tragedies that people go through. But today, I want to focus the attention on loving yourself, on the qualities of you that are unique, that are successful, that are strong. We want to take today to really focus on what are the positive aspects of your life. Where do you want your life to go so that we can shape and develop those dreams and make them a reality? We're going to have a very special guest coming up in our next segment. Her name is Katie Hill. She's going to be talking about her journey with being transgender. She used to be a boy, and now today she's a girl, and she loves her life. And she'll be sharing with us about that transition, which was not an easy one. But part of developing and evolving into who we are is sometimes hard. We have to figure out what we want in a relationship, what career we want, who we are, what are our hopes, what are our dreams. And so you want to stay tuned for Katie Hill's interview, because maybe it'll help you look at your life differently and pull out those positive attributes if you can't quite see them in yourself at this moment. Also, we're going to be taking your callers. Again, the number to call in is 800-333-0001, 800-333-0001. Now, we have a lot of great shows that we've had in the past, and sometimes I get emails from people who say, hey, Nancy, I'd like to go back and hear that interview again. Just know you can go to livingfullout.com and go click on the radio show tab, and you can hear this show again and all of our shows if you want to listen to them there. And we want to hear from you. If you are touched by today's interview or any of our callers that call in, connect with us. The email address for that is connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. Plus, you may have an inspirational story that you'd like to share with our community, and we'd love to hear from you. So we're actually going to go now and talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hey, Nancy. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for calling in. How can I help you today?
So my question today is about laziness and low energy. I feel that I have both of those as aspects of myself, and, it's holding me back. So how can I change this part of myself to a more positive thing?
Well, let me ask you a question. Can you think of a time when you felt the most proud, like you had done something really good, or somebody gave you a lot of accolades, or it was just one of those epic moments in your life? Maybe it was something you succeeded in school, maybe it was a sport event or something like that. Can you think of that moment?
Yeah, there's more than one, and I'm a student, so there have been moments throughout my courses that I would say fit that description.
And when you have that moment, how do you feel about yourself?
I feel confident and able to do a lot of things that I don't normally think about myself. Unfortunately, those moments cease to be after some period.
Gotcha. Well, here's the thing. Remember that, okay, I'm not saying that everybody should start talking to themselves, although you can, but remember that sometimes when you're in your unmotivated, lazy stage, sometimes you just have to talk it out with yourself and say, you know what, you're better than this. Your dreams are waiting for you, but if you stay in this place, they're not going to get done. Your successful self has to pull the lazy self out of the gutter, out of the trenches.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And the thing is only you can do that. That's the thing. We all want supporters in our life, our friends, our family, people we don't even know yet, and they contribute. They're kind of like supporting characters in your story. Your life is like a film, and you're the main character. But only you can bring yourself out of those lazy, unmotivated times. And the best person to do that is your successful self. So when I think of times in my life when I've had a winning moment, I remember how I felt, those butterflies. I remember my heart beating. I remember just how much I felt humbled, and I was embarrassed, but kind of loved how much attention I was getting. And so when I find that I'm having a lazy day or an unmotivated day, I always remember I tap into that feeling, and it pulls me out of that state because I'm like, you know what, Nancy, you deserve better than that. You won't get winning moments if you don't get out of this. Does that make sense?
That does, and that allows you to move forward and get beyond the kind of negative stuff you were feeling at that moment.
Absolutely. So, starting this moment, and when we hang up this phone, I want you to think of that winning moment and then have a heart-to-heart with yourself in the mirror, just out loud, whatever you want. But then go out there today and do something. Connect with someone. Whatever you want to do to make yourself feel like, you know what, I did something today and I feel good about it.
I'll try that, Nancy, and thank you so much for your advice.
Absolutely. I believe in you, and hang in there, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for calling in.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. So sometimes loving ourselves is not right there. Sometimes we have to tap into our past, reach deep inside ourselves to love ourselves. That's part of this journey. We're going to go back to the phone lines now. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for joining us. What's going on today? How can I help you?
Well, I have a question about I can fall asleep at night, but then when I wake up and I'm so stressed about things that have happened during the day, or I go to bed not thinking I'm stressed, but I wake up about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, can't go back to sleep because I'm, have all these things that I don't know if my mind's trying to solve my problems at night or what I'm doing, but I'm just wondering, how can I get a better night's sleep? How do I handle those when I think I'm falling asleep well, but then obviously I'm not because I'm not staying asleep?
Well, you know what? There's probably a lot of people shaking their heads, nodding. Yes, I'm right there with you, because that's a common issue for so many. And here's a couple suggestions I have for you. Number one is have a notebook or a recorder or something beside your bed. So when something comes up in the middle of the night, the reason why you can't sleep is you're afraid you're going to forget, and write it down. Set your mind free. Okay? Because if you don't have that piece of paper or that audio device or something to record it, then you're going to hold on to it all night. If you write it down, it will set yourself free, and you'll know that you won't forget because it'll be waiting for you in the morning. The second thing you might want to do is have accessible something positive. Like when I can't sleep, I go into my Google Drive and I find some meditation music or maybe an audio of something that's positive, a speaker or something that would put me to sleep. Not because they're boring, but because they motivate me. And the words that they say take me into a place where I can dream bigger than I can if I'm concentrating on tomorrow. Okay? So if you do those things, it'll absolutely help you. Also, remember that your bedroom, that's a sanctuary. That's a place for you to relax and be calm. So you might need to shake it up. You might need to get some new pillows. You might need to get a new bedspread or whatever it may be. It might not serve you to listen to the news or anything negative before you go to sleep. And even when people can't sleep, they turn on the TV and they hear these infomercials all last night. Buy this, buy that. That's not peaceful either. You know what I mean? But I think if you try some of those things, it'll really help you. It'll set you free. Is that something you can do?
Yes, and actually, I think those are great ideas. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, sweet dreams tonight.
Thank you. I will try it.
And just go into it positively. And one more thing. You said, I will try it. I want to give you one last piece of advice. Take out the word try. Say, I will. If you go into the night with trying to sleep, then you're already going into it with a restless night ahead of you. So you just want to go into it. Tonight, I'm going to sleep like a baby. All right?
All right. I will.
All right. I love it. Awesome. All right. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, what a great call. The thing is part of loving yourself is being rested, is taking care of yourself, making sure that you're loving your sleep, you're loving your body, you're giving your eyes rest, you're giving your brain time to calm down and dream and just letting everything just unfold in your day. When we take so much of this anxiety into our nighttime, it really holds us back. Now, when we come back, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Katie Hill. Again, her transgender journey is one that's unique, but there's lessons that we can all take from that. Again, this is the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and we'll be coming right back with Katie Hill.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a
Taxi!
233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
Even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. A professional motivational speaker, Nancy can help you overcome obstacles and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. Today, we're talking about loving yourself and all the ways in which we need to just release all the tragedy, the crises, the obstacles, the challenges, the things that people say, all of that negativity. Just let it go for today. Let it go and focus on you and all the great aspects of you. Now, our inspirational guest today, Katie Hill, is a perfect example of what it means to live full out, and you'll learn why through her story. She's going to be sharing with us about her journey through transgender here in terms of initially being a boy, and she transitioned into being a girl and a woman today, and just, what was entailed by that, all the support she got from her family and some of the people that didn't support her along the way. So I'd like to welcome Katie Hill to the show.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Katie. So honestly, I mean it when I say that you are living full out, girl, from like literally 3-4 years old to today. You were always outspoken, it seems, about knowing that you were a girl. Even when you were a boy, you're like, listen, everybody, I'm a girl. This is not me. This is not right. Share with me. I know you grew up in a conservative family, but it's really at an early age, like 3 or 4, when you recognize, this is not me. People are seeing me differently than I feel I am. Can you share with us about that?
Absolutely. So when I was about 4, an age where no one knows about sex or gender or sexuality, like you said, I knew that something was different about me. How? I can't exactly tell you. I can't articulate it. It's the same thing as me asking you or anybody else, when did you know you were a boy, or when did you know you were a girl? The answer would typically just be, well, I always just knew. And I was the same way, except my body didn't agree with what I was saying. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a little boy. I tried to wrap my head around that, and it didn't bother me so much, because I had no idea of the expectations that come along with that and what my future would hold, but it just felt wrong. I remember when I was 4, my mom came into the bedroom one day after she got out of a shower. Maybe I was 3, and I wondered why my body didn't look like that, why I was so different. And I was in the bathroom one day, and I was pulling on my genitals, saying, "Mom, off, off, off. They're not supposed to be here." And that blew her away. This 4-year-old child who has no idea about any of this stuff, telling her that it's wrong, that my genitals are wrong. And that was the first flag that she had to give me help. Before long, I was taking medication, and I was in multiple psychiatrists, but I always knew that something was different about me. And now I know the answer. Now I know that there was nothing wrong with me. I was just different.
Well, and how did your classmates, I mean, obviously this was a learning curve for your mom and the rest of your family, and we'll get more about that later, but how did your classmates, I guess, view you, or how did they connect with you? Because obviously, you were a boy growing up for a good part of your life. Mm-hmm. Did you do boy things? Did you enjoy doing girl things? Did people make fun of you? What did you wear to school? What was that like?
Right. So I was always kind of into, I guess you can consider girl things. I loved cooking. I loved pretending to cook. I loved dresses. I loved pretending and things like that. The same thing that all kids do. When you're a little kid, parents are a little bit more lenient. They're allowing their kids to, it's not unusual to see a 5-year-old boy playing with dolls. It's not until they're about 7 or 8 when you really start cracking down on gender norms and expectations to say, no, you're a boy, or no, you're a girl. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to like this. But at the same time, I did like, I guess you can consider boy stuff. I liked riding on dirt bikes. I liked airplanes. I liked getting out and playing in the mud and going outside and playing with my friends and wrestling and stuff like that. I just came into my own, and I never really understood why all of these adults around me were telling me, no, you can't do this. My classmates was kind of a mixed bag. I had some that openly accepted and loved me, but most of them didn't act or didn't respond quite the way I wanted to. I was spat on, I was pushed, I was shoved downstairs. I had my stuff stolen from me. I had teachers that were making fun of me. I had parents that were pulling kids out of classrooms because I was in them, telling parents who were pulling kids out of lunch with me. My best friend, her parents told her that she should be stoned to death rather than spend time with me. And that's crazy to think that. But
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so awesome. I mean, you're so wonderful. And whether you had been the boy that you were or the girl, a woman of today, I mean, the same you has been you the whole time. Now, there was the day when you discovered transgender and you were like, oh my gosh, that's me. Can you share with me about that time?
Oh, yeah. The most emotional story of the ride. So I was 15. It was 2009 in January. And for so long, like I said, I had been to multiple psychiatrists and doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me, quote unquote wrong with me. I was diagnosed with Asperger's and autism and multiple personality disorder and schizophrenia and bipolarism, all of these things. And I was on all these kind of medications, which only made me feel more crazier. I felt like I was out of my mind, like I was broken for so long. And one day I was on the computer and I just decided to type in, I feel like a girl in a boy's body. I feel like I like boys, but I'm not gay. I feel like a woman on the inside. I look like a woman. I feel like a woman. I don't know what's going on. And sooner or later, I found a couple of articles, very few, maybe 2 or 3, that had the word in it, transgender. And it just changed my mind. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders to have a word with it. For so long, I thought I was the only person in the world that was going through this, who had these feelings. And now I knew that there was an entire community of people like me. And not only that, but there was a way to fix me. There was a way to make me feel better, to be who I've always wanted to be. It was possible. So when my mom got home, I sat her down to the computer and said, Mom, look, this is me. This is what I am, transgender. I'm not crazy. I don't need all these medicines. I'm not broken. I'm just different. And it can be fixed. It can be sorted out. This can be a normal thing. I can be normal. And she brushed it off. She said, yeah. Okay. All right. Whatever, Luke. I'm busy. We can talk about this later. And it destroyed me because I finally found a word that I identified with, a word that incorporated all the different aspects of my problems, I guess you could say. And she wasn't listening, my own mother. And it was so hard for me to come out to her as being trans because until that point, I thought my mom hated me. I thought she wanted to hurt me. I thought she wanted to kick me out because I couldn't trust her with my feelings because I myself didn't understand them.
Which you knew was not true. And when we come back, because we have to take a commercial break, Katie, but when we come back, I want to explore further that conversation with your mom. Okay, so stay with us. Okay, hang on. And everybody, just so you know, we are on the line here, interview with Katie Hill, talking about her journey with transgender, and we'll be right back after this break. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know. wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a trusted life coach, Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari. Today we're talking about loving yourself, and a perfect example of that is our special guest today, Katie Hill, and she's sharing with us her journey being transgender and how she went from being a boy to a woman today. And Katie, I'd like to welcome you back to the show.
Good to be back.
Thank you. Now, I know that, your mom didn't grab onto transgender right away, but when she finally did, there was a touching moment, which we won't be able to get to all of it today, but where she allowed you to put together a list of all the things that you wanted to do. And what I'd like to kind of go into next, if we can, is part of those were the surgeries that would allow you to take those next steps. Can you share with us about what those surgeries were, what that process was? Were you scared?
Well, of course I was scared. I mean, it was a major surgery. I only had one surgery, and that was the vaginoplasty, which is the surgery, the bottom surgery, as people say, but it's basically converting the penis into a vagina. And of course I was scared. I was 18 years old, just out of high school, and I was going to this major surgery. And when I was about to have the surgery, I thought it was going to solve all my problems. in my head, I thought, I'm going to get on that gurney. They're going to wheel me into the operating room, and I'm going to come out as a woman, as a true woman, and everything will be better. I'll love myself, and everyone will love me too. And actually, when I landed, by the time I got into the operating room, I was ready to go. I was so excited. I was like, all right, let's just do this. Drug me up. I'm ready. I want this to be done with. And my fear melted away because I was so ready to be done with that old self, to be done with all the pain that I went through, to be done with the rejection, to be done with the discrimination. I thought it would all be gone. But, when I woke up the next morning, sure, I had what I wanted. I had the physical change, but I realized that there was a lot of emotional and mental change that I had to do that I haven't done yet. I looked in the mirror and I was happy with what I saw physically. But all that pain, all the scars, all the discrimination, everything that I have gone through was still there in my heart. And it was so heavy.
And honestly, I get that. I feel that in what you telling us this. But what was your journey? What was your abilities to let go of that? How did you let go of the emotional? How did you, in some ways, press the reset button and all of a sudden, everybody, I'm a girl? How do you make that shift?
Right. Well, it's not, of course, easy.
Yeah.
People always think that it's me trying to convince everybody else that I was a girl, but the truth is that I was always this way. I was always very feminine. Well, when I finally came out to my mom and we did the transition, it made sense to her. It made sense to my family. It made sense to my closest friends. I didn't have to convince them of anything. It just made sense to them. When they actually were exposed to it, when they saw the person I'd become, this scared little boy who was ashamed of himself, into this confident, beautiful woman who was doing all these amazing things, who was determined to succeed in life, it just clicked with them. They understood. They realized this isn't fake. This isn't something that goes away. This is a journey. This was something important to Katie and to other people like her. And to get rid of all that pain, it's not gone. Pain never really truly goes away forever. Instead, I had to deal with it. I had to really sit down and think about who I am and my place in the world and where I want to go, where I see myself in 10 years. Instead of looking at myself as this failed woman or as this freak that I've thought of myself for so long, I started thinking of myself as a very intelligent person who's very ambitious, who's very artistic, who's very kind, who's very caring. I started focusing on the more positive things in my life and the more positive things of my character. And by doing that, slowly but surely, I was able to become the person that I am today. And I'm not done. I'm still very young, and I have a long ways to go before I really get through all of the things that I've gone through. And that's okay. I'm pacing myself, and I'm ready to take on that challenge.
Well, and I can imagine. I mean, it's a we're all on this life journey, and yours is now a whole new chapter. It's you as Katie. And and one question I'm sure quite a few of our audience members might be asking themselves is, after you made that transition and you were Katie, how did dating go for you? Did you tell people, men, that you were starting to date, or did you tell people I used to be a boy, and what was that like? And if you can share with us about that.
Right. Well, from person to person, it depends on how much information you want to give out. But for me personally, I always felt like I should tell people that I was dating, who I was and what I've been through, because I don't want anybody in my life, especially an intimate partner, who can't accept that aspect of me. It happened, and it's made me the person that I am today, and I was never ashamed of it. If they wanted to, I've had guys who have punched me in the face in the middle of public before after finding out, and I've had guys who have confessed their love for me after they found out. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want to hide that part of me from the people that I love or the people that I'm attracted to, because it's an important part of me. It's an important part of my life, and I don't want to just pretend like it didn't happen, to pretend like it's not still there.
Well, and in one of the relationships that you had, which we'll just touch on briefly, was with another gentleman, Aaron, who had gone through his own, journey with being a girl, and he became a boy, a man. And was that comforting to be with somebody? I mean, you're not together now, but at the time, how was that in terms of being in that relationship with somebody who was also going through it?
Oh, it was great. Just the fact that the relationships before Aaron and after Aaron, I've only dated, besides Aaron, cisgendered heterosexual men, which means that they were born male, have always remained male, and they've always been attracted to females. And they could tell me that when I would explain to him my dysphoria, the pain that I was feeling inside, all my bad things, the bad things that happened to me, they could say, I'm sorry, but none of them could say, I understand. And Aaron was the first guy who could really honestly look at me and tell me he understood my pain, and I could understand his. We transitioned together. We helped each other. Whenever we were dysphoric, whenever we were feeling down, the other knew exactly how the other one was feeling. And I think that's a big thing in a relationship that everyone wants, is complete understanding.
Mm-hmm. What a special relationship to come across and to be able to have done that together. I'm just curious, we've all heard of Caitlyn Jenner and her own journey, and you're in this community, and you are an advocate for rights and helping people to become more educated. But how has Caitlyn Jenner coming out? How does that impacted your community? In a positive way, negative way, indifferent?
Well, I definitely think, again, it's dependent on who you ask. To me, personally, I would say that it's a mixed bag again. Caitlyn Jenner coming out definitely put the word out there for a lot of people. It got the word spreading. People started talking about it, even if it was in a negative way. The fact that the word was out there and people were talking about it meant a lot. But, Caitlyn Jenner wasn't the first person that did that. It's important to know that there are plenty other trans people, celebrity trans people, who are doing that before Caitlyn Jenner. And, of course, a lot of people would say Caitlyn Jenner is not an accurate representation or not the best representation. And I would agree that no single trans person, not even myself, can represent the community. No one. There is no person that perfectly wraps up what it means to be trans, because everyone's experience is different. But even though I have my own personal beliefs, I think that there was some good to it, but I also think that there may be some negative bits that a lot of people have debate about. But,
sure.
Like I said, mixed bag.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, everybody's journey is going to be unique to their own. And because transgender, that word, what it means, everything that you've gone through, Caitlyn Jenner's gone through, everybody before that, the changes in your body, the hormones, just all of that. What should we know as a world, as a community, about transgender and how we can make this an easier transition? There's a lot of people that are resistant to it. And then there's others who are like, understanding or want to be understanding. And since you are an advocate, what are your views on that?
Well, I understand why people have a hard time with this. It's very complicated and it's new. People go to college for 8 years plus to learn about this stuff, and even they can't get it right all the time. Even I'm wrong a lot of the time. It's very hard to also, we've lived in a dichotomous society for so long, male, female, that's it, like heterosexual, homosexual, and just within the past few years, it seems like there's a different identity for every person. There's as many identities as there are people, and that can be, really odd for people who aren't used to this, who aren't in the community. So I understand. Well, the things I always want to get across is this isn't fake. This is never going to go away. It's here now, and it's just important to understand that, it's important to understand that these people are not trying to get attention. They're not trying to be out there. They're just trying to be happy. They're just trying to find their way in the world. Because let's be honest, life can be hard. Life is hard for everybody. And being trans only makes it even harder, trying to get by the everyday hardships of bills and family and relationships, but at the same time looking at yourself in the mirror and being ashamed of what you see. And the only thing that we're trying to do is to be happy with ourselves. We're not trying to affect anybody else. And also I want people to know that if you don't get this, if you don't agree with it, that's okay. It's not my job as an advocate to force people to believe in what I believe in. My job is to give everyone the information and to say, do with it as you please. If you don't understand it, educate yourself. If you don't want to understand it, that's okay. But just don't try to push negative beliefs onto other people. Just know that it's not fake. It's real. These people are just trying to be happy. It's okay if you don't get it right away. Educate yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. Just educate yourself. Be ready.
Education is the word I keep hearing. Yeah, education.
I
hear that.
Everybody who's listening, you know somebody who's trans. I guarantee it. Whether you know it or not, you do know somebody who's probably intersex or transgendered or anywhere in between. And it's important to understand how to respectfully deal with those people in your life.
Katie, you have brought up so many good points today, and I will have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, I could talk to you for hours, but I want to thank you very much for being on the show. And everybody, this is Katie Hill, and thank you so much, Katie. Hope you have a great day, and keep loving yourself. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Bye.
Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So that was Katie Hill. Really such a great interview. When we come back, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, this is Nancy Solari and the Living Full Out Show. And the topic today is loving yourself. So stay tuned. We'll be taking your calls right after this break.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll,
for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
To live full out is to love yourself, to really be able to recognize those qualities in you that are unique, that are special, that are talents that only you can bring forth. When you love yourself, it's about being generous. It's about being forgiving. It's about knowing that you are worth it. You want to live full out today by going after your dreams and goals in a big way, but don't come down on yourself. Don't settle into disappointments. Make sure to love yourself every step of the way.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a certified life coach, Nancy can help you to overcome challenges and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. This is Nancy. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And honestly, amazing that we're already here at the last segment, but here we are, and we're talking about loving yourself. And in some ways, that may sound foofy to some people. Oh, loving yourself. Ooh, warm and fuzzy. But I'm telling you, it is needed. It's required. If all day long we're just trying to fix things and troubleshoot and, aggressively try to be our best, and it's like we're on this hamster wheel of life over and over again, then we're not able to bask in the joys of life. And even those little simple pleasures, like right now in the studio, I love that I'm with my Living Full Out team, that we're here with you doing the show. I'm going to enjoy this moment. And after the show, then I'll go and enjoy another moment with my dog Lionel, going on a walk. Love that relationship. It doesn't have to be, the physical loving yourself or going to a place of ego. It just is about cherishing every minute of your life. Life is meant to be lived. It's a precious one. And for some of those who don't get to live long lives, it's taken at an early age, you better believe they got the lesson to love themselves early on. So you want to embrace that now and live full out in a big way. We're going to go back to the phone lines now, talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for taking the call.
Absolutely. What's going on today? How can I help you?
I have a question regarding a friend of mine who she's married to a man about 10 years younger than her. But over the last few years, she confided in me that the relationship is really verbally abusive. And a lot of the phone calls that she gives to me are about that. And I used to try to, empathize and offer her, maybe you should seek counseling or, separate for a little bit. And she'd agree. And then a few days later, she'd call back and say, oh, I was going to do it. But, he begged forgiveness and we're back together again. So I listen to her now and I don't really offer the advice. But I'm really worried for her because I know she self-medicates alcohol, prescription drugs in a way to deal with this. But I don't know what to do with our relationship because pretty much my life is pretty quiet, except for her. She's a nice person, a good heart, but just very weak. And she's told me recently, it was a couple of years ago, he came into quite a bunch of money and that now she wouldn't leave because of that. And I think she's just afraid because of her age. She's older. And fear of being left. This is like her third marriage. So how do I continue to be a good friend to her? Do I just continue to listen or do I try to push her out of my life and keep it a little calmer?
Well, first of all, great question. And what the relationship that she is in right now is a codependent relationship. It's, in some ways, he probably relies on her as the person that he can take his negativity out on, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And she's allowed herself to be that role in his life. Vice versa, she's now become very dependent on his financial strengths. And so together, they're codependent. And I don't know that you can change that. They're kind of in this... It's kind of like they're just in their own cycle, and in some ways it might make sense to them. Even though she comes to you and complains, she's still getting something out of it. There's a buy-in for her to be there. And so what I recommend is a couple of things. Number one, what you might want to do is put together an email. And in that email, I would express to her what you've heard her say over the years. Not like you're talking down to her or talking at her, but that you're really allowing her to see that you've heard her. You're maybe paraphrasing back things that she's said to you. Really acknowledging to her as your friend, I hear you. Secondly, I would find some local resources or maybe even a couple hotline numbers just so she has it. If she ever needs it, she doesn't have to go scrambling on the internet to look for it. You've done that for her. And I would email that to her in a very loving way. And then at times when you can't handle it, when you've kind of hit your threshold, you can revert back to that email because it was very loving. It took time to put together and the resources are there. That's one thing I would maybe do. The second thing is you might consider, if you're up for it, going to a session with her. Maybe she doesn't want to go alone. And maybe you could wrap it around in such a way that you're going to a counseling session to strengthen your relationship as friends. Maybe you could find a coach, or I do life coaching. I can help you guys on the side. The thing is finding a coach that both of you can talk to on the phone on how to have your friendship thrive despite what's going on. Do you see what I'm saying? Now that your strength by being a part of that session might allow her to talk more and more about it. I think she's afraid to go on her own. I think that's what's holding her back.
Never thought about that. That is really good advice.
Yeah. But if you do the email, that will set you free because you know that you will have given her the resources. You will have loved her in that email as much as you can. But also maybe going to a therapy session together, not about her husband, but about your friendship. I promise you the husband stuff will come out and then she might have the strength to go on further. Okay?
Continue. I like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in and we'll be thinking of you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank
you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And I want to thank everybody who called in today to our show. And Katie Hill, our inspirational guest, so amazing. If you want to go back and listen to the shows, go to livingfullout.com. Click on the radio show tab. All the shows are there waiting for you to hear again. And if you are inspired by today's show, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you to our entire radio team here in the studio. And here's to you living your life full out. I believe in you, and I'll see you next week.